So, greetings to all the viewers. Today, we are going to discuss about the topic emotional intelligence and interpersonal communication. So, before going into the topic, we must understand that humans are not just a physical embodiment, but they are emotional beings. They are the living beings who are filled with a sense of emotional emotions, a lot of emotions. So, uh, humans are being emotional beings. Communication is more than exchanging information. Emotional intelligence improves communication. How come communication and emotional intelligence is connected? Let's see about that. So, every interaction we have is influenced by emotions, whether we are talking to family or members of the other families, friends, teachers, colleagues, or strangers. Emotions affect how we speak, listen, and respond. So, communication is more than exchanging information. Why? Communication involves sharing feelings, attitudes, values, and intentions. Successful communication requires understanding not only the words but also the conveyed emotions. Next, emotional intelligence improves communications. How come? People who understand emotions can communicate more effectively, build stronger relationships, and manage conflicts successfully. See, whenever a human being is coming in interaction with another human being, let's not go for the living things other than human beings. First of all, let's concentrate on human beings. The core mode of expressing ourselves is through communication. And why do we communicate? We've seen about what is communication in one of the previous videos, but we must first of all learn why do we communicate? We communicate to express our thoughts. We need somebody to understand what we feel, and we need a sense of empathy and sympathy from the listener, right? That is why we communicate, or else we can keep whatever we feel, we can keep it inside our mind, but we tend to express it out either through actions or through the emotional facial expressions or through the words, any form of communication. It is not only about words and feelings, it is all more about understanding those feelings which have been communicated to us. So, emotional intelligence is going to deal about all these understandings. So, now the biggest question is, what is emotional intelligence? It is the ability to recognize the emotions. Emotional intelligence begins with identifying emotions accurately in ourselves and others. This sense of identifying the emotion is much more important than even than the communication. Why? Because we communicate to express ourselves. We want somebody to understand us. So, what is the purpose of not understanding the feeling and understanding only the words? No, it is like a food without a salt, a sweet without sugar, something like that. But in order to have a proper, meaningful communication, it is not only necessary to understand the words, but it is also necessary to understand the emotions that are conveyed or about to get conveyed. Next. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand the emotion. It is not only to recognize the emotion. First, it is about recognizing it. You have to acknowledge that they are communicating some sort of emotion on the first place. And in the second place, you must try to understand the emotion. Understanding why emotions occur helps us in interpreting behavior and helps us in responding to those behaviors appropriately and in a legible way without even hurting others, without making others feel uncomfortable. We can communicate what we feel about them and and to console them how they feel about themselves or others. Understanding emotions is much more important. More than that, emotional intelligence is the ability to use emotions productively. This is way more important. You can manage the emotions, you can communicate the emotion, you can recognize it, and then you can try to understand it. Most of the human beings can do that. You can manage certain things. Sometimes things goes beyond your management. Those things are acceptable because emotionally intelligent individuals regulate their emotional responses instead of reacting impulsively. This is very important. They can, effective communicators can regulate their emotions rather than reacting impulsively. We human beings are tend to express or give reactions immediately. There is not that there is no need that it is not the written law to give your reactions, or you need to say a comment for everything that is happening around you. An effective communicator knows when to react, where to react, and how to react. This is what we call as management of emotions. But more than all these things, the wiser, the smarter usage of emotional intelligence is that gaining the ability to use the emotions productively. This requires high level of intelligence. The highest point of attaining a proper emotional intelligence is learning to use the emotions productively. Emotions can motivate actions, enhance your decision making, and improve interpersonal relationships. Your interpersonal relationship, the relationship which we are beings who live as a society, not as an individual. Though individuality is important, I don't deny it, but still we tend to live as a society. We need some people around us. Not all the time, but most of the time, we need people around us. You cannot stay alone for your entire life, right? So, in order, of course, you can stay, but we are cultured or practiced in such a way that we tend to live as a society. So, in order to live as a society, you need to improve your interpersonal relationship, or else you need to learn about how to maintain a cordial relationship with your colleagues, friends, and relatives. It would be useful in not losing them and also retaining them. So, productive use of emotions reach the highest point of emotional intelligence. More than all those things, there are certain components which are incorporated into gaining emotional intelligence. Those are called as self awareness, self regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills. These words are not new to us. All these, we are all well aware, well informed about all these words, but still, are we employing the real meaning behind these words in our day to day practice? Most of us fail to do that. Why? Because we are not aware about the emotional imbalance going inside our mind, first place. Second place, we even if we are aware about what is the trauma happening inside us, we lack the competency of regulating it. Even though we learn to regulate it, we doesn't tend to motivate ourselves to move on. We most of the time we tend to stick ourselves in the past. We don't go forward. So we lack motivation most of the time, and we expect that motivation from somebody else rather than learning it or gaining it from our inside. Next, about all these things, you need social skills and empathy. Empathy is something which you learn or which you can express only if you master to regulate your emotion. If you could motivate yourself, you can show empathy to others. If you can't even sympathize or empathize your own self, then how can you show empathy to others? So, empathy, in order to empathize, in order to express perfect social skills towards your fellow beings, you need to learn about self regulation and motivation. These 4 components, these 5 components forms the foundation of emotional intelligence and influence how individuals react with others. Let's talk about self awareness, understanding one's emotion. Self awareness involves recognizing emotional states and understanding how they affect the behavior. Recognizing strengths and weakness. It is not only about understanding one's emotion, it is also about strengthening and recognizing your strengths and weakness. Self aware individuals understand their capabilities and limitations, leading to a better decision making. In most of the individual's life, the problem arises at the point of making a decision. So, if you are aware about your emotions, and if you can regulate your emotions, if you learn to regulate your emotions, then you can lead a better life through your decision making. Next, what is the importance of self awareness? Let's go deep into this self awareness. It builds confidence. Awareness of strengths create confidence and self assurance. Next, it prevents emotional outbursts, which we saw a few minutes ago, right? Most of us fail in regulating the emotion. Most of us fail in structurizing our emotion, giving a proper flow to the emotion. So it prevents the self awareness, prevents your emotional outbursts. Recognizing emotions earlier allows individuals to manage reactions constructively. This is what important. Recognizing the emotions earlier allows an individual to manage the reactions constructively. You need not express whatever you feel or however you feel in the same way. You need to construct them, restructure them. You need to structureize your reactions so that it might not give an uncomfortable feeling to you and as well as the fellow beings. Next, it improves your communication. Self awareness improves your confidence. It prevents your emotional outbursts. And the final one is it improves your communication. People who understand themselves communicate more clearly and honestly. Yes, of course. I 100% agree with this point. Why? Because if you don't understand yourself, if you don't understand who you are, then what are you going to speak? How come you're going to speak? What is there to speak? To whom you'll address the content? So, recognizing one's own self, understanding one's own self is much more important in gaining emotional intelligence. Next, self regulation. Managing emotions effectively. Self regulation means that regulation, the structurizing the emotion, giving a proper consecutive way of expressing your emotions. Self regulation means controlling the impulsive reactions, the immediate reactions. You tend to control it and maintaining an emotional balance. The state of acquiring such balance, an emotional balance, and a balanced expression of your impulses and thoughts which are in your mind is much more important in developing your emotional intelligence. Next, self regulating also focuses on responding instead of reacting. There is huge difference between responding and reacting. Responding means observing certain things, processing it inside your mind, and comprehending what had happened and comprehending what you're supposed to say, and then giving a legible, neat, constructive reply rather than giving some senseless reactions or expressing your sort of uncomfortable feel. So, emotionally intelligent people pass, think, and choose appropriate responses. So, we must learn the difference between responding and reacting. Responding means you'll observe, com- take everything into your mind, you'll process it, you'll comprehend the situation, you'll comprehend the contextual meaning, then you'll process or structurize your thoughts, and then you'll give a legitimate, neat reply which never affects anybody. So, self regulation helps you in responding more than reacting. Next, what are the benefits of self regulation? It provides you with better relationships. It gives you a professional behavior rather than an unprofessional one. It always provides you a professional behavior. Next, better relationship means controlled emotional responses reduce misunderstanding and conflicts. Thereby, you can have a better relationship with your fellow beings. Next, how will you achieve a professional behavior through self regulation? Self regulation is highly valued in workplaces because it promotes reliability and maturity. Same things, right? Reliable. The person, if you are a reliable person, means people can come. You are a go-to kind of a person. People can come to you, talk about anything, and whatever it is we are speaking or talking about, they'll get a sense of comfort in the reply which you are giving them. So these are the perks of developing self-regulation. Next, what is motivation? Motivation is the internal drive to achieve your goals. I said, right? You need to motivate yourself to gain emotional intelligence, to empathize, to have better social skills. That comes from inside, not from outside. Internal drive to achieve goals. Motivated individuals pursue objectives with enthusiasm and persistence. This persistence will take you to more heights than immediately reacting. Next, motivation provides you a positive attitude from inside, from yourself. Motivation always helps people remain optimistic even during the challenges. Yeah. Next, empathy. What is empathy? Understanding. It is very much important. In self awareness, we saw that it is highly important to understand your own self. Whereas empathy means understanding others' emotion. In order to understand others' emotion, you must be aware about you. So, first of all, self awareness, and then we are coming back to empathy. So, understanding others' emotion, in which empathy involves seeing situations from another person's perspective. This needs so much of patience. This needs high epitome of maturity because most of the cases, if you are involved in a fight or anything, any sort of communication, you always feel we all always feel that we are right. But empathy, developing a quality of empathy will make you a person to understand things from the opponent's shoes. What might have triggered them in doing this? What might have shaped them in doing this? What might have happened so that these person behaved in such a way? Likewise, you try as much as possible to understand the opponents, the other people's situation. This is what empathy is all about. So, appreciating empathy is all about appreciating different experiences. Empathy allows individuals to respect diverse viewpoints and backgrounds. You will get to know the diverse viewpoints, the multiple perspective, multi-dimensional perspectives. It is not about me and you. It is about so many perspectives. If the perspective of view changes, the entire core contents appeal is changed. So perspectives, this empathy, developing a sense of empathy will give you varied perspectives to understand people around you. Next, what is the importance of empathy? Why empathy is so important? Because it strengthens your relationship, not only motivation, not only self-regulation, but empathy plays high, a high level of role in strengthening your relationship. People feel valued, people feel respected when their emotions are acknowledged and understood. So this is the core of emotional intelligence, I would say. So it also reduces conflict. Empathy promotes understanding and decreases hostility. Understanding, this word comes throughout your life in all repeated manners in different colors, but still pay attention to that understanding. through empathy, through motivation, through self-regulation, through self-awareness. Try to reach the highest point of your emotional intelligence, which is empathy. By achieving all these things, what is the result? You will have a better social skills. You'll have a better social behavior. You'll be a desired person. You'll be a go-to person for all the people around you. You'll build a relationship. You will be an effective team worker. You'll be a leader more than everything. You will be a leader. Social skills always helps individual in establishing meaningful personal and professional connections. Successful collaboration depends on strong interpersonal skills. So empathy, motivation, self-regulation, self-awareness, all these things in a combo pack will give you a better social skills, which lead you to develop a strong interpersonal skills. Leadership, regarding leadership, leaders rely on communication. Definitely, leaders rely on communication, motivation, and relationship building skills. See, the social skills, the better societal behavior is achieved only through there is a process, there is a constructive way of developing or achieving the social skills. Awareness about yourself, regulating all the things which you're aware about, then motivating yourself to express it through empathy by not only by understanding yourself, but by understanding the entire surrounding around you. Thereby, you're achieving the epitome of social behavior, better social behavior. Thus, leaders rely on communication, motivation, and relationship building skills. So, we spoke about all these components, right? Now, let's see what is interpersonal communication. What is interpersonal communication? The communication between the individuals, not with ourselves, that is intrapersonal communication. But interpersonal means in between the persons. That is why it is interpersonal communication. Communication between the fellow beings. And it also involves exchange of ideas and emotions, right? So, interpersonal communication involves direct interaction between two or more people. It includes both information and emotional aspects. That is why it is a sense of communication between the individuals, and it gives you the exchange of ideas and emotions. So there are few elements which belongs to interpersonal communication. Better interpersonal communication can be developed through certain components such as sender, message, receiver, feedback, and context. Communication is a dynamic process involving message creation, interpretation, and response. So, emotional intelligence is one of the key aspects. Emotional intelligence always demands a proper interpersonal communication. So, next, what are all the main factors? What are all the main factors which links communication with emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is all about understanding, understanding the emotion, regulating it in a constructive way, and expressing it in a legitimate sense. And communication is all about sharing your information. How come they both are related, emotional intelligence and communication? Because to develop a high sense of emotional intelligence, you need a better listening skill, better understanding skill, and better responding skills. Emotionally intelligent individuals listen attentively and understand the underlying emotions. The points are getting repeated, but still, you need to know about these things. That's why I'm repeating these in a different shades and colors. Emotionally intelligent people listen attentively. You must listen first so that you can comprehend the things. And then after getting everything into your mind, process it, try to understand it, try to comprehend it. After comprehending the meanings of the communications which you received, try to provide it in a constructive way of response. So that would help you in achieving a better emotional intelligence skills. Next, what is the use of active listening? Listening with Yes. What is the use of active listening? Active listening involves concentration and genuine interest. Understanding the feelings. It requires recognizing emotional cues as well as the spoken words. See the importance? Understanding the feeling. Better listeners always tries to who will give you pay attention in listening in order to understand the feelings. Why are we listening? To understand. To understand the feelings, it requires not only the recognition of words, but also the emotional cues behind those spoken words is much more important. After learning all these emotional intelligence and how are we responding, how are we processing, how are we uh, managing it in a constructive way, how come it is highly important in a teamwork? How come a teamwork and emotional intelligence are connected? It is connected because you need a high sense of cooperation in your team. You need to manage all the conflicts and you need to build a proper trustworthy relationship within your team so that your team flourishes like anything, like like a silver shining. Your team flourishes with cooperation, conflict management, and better trustworthy relationships. So, emotionally intelligent team. As of now, we spoke about individual. Now we are going to speak about emotionally intelligent team members work harmoniously with others. You're not the only one who is working for the development of the society, right? You always, as human beings, live as society. Human beings live in groups. We also tend to work in groups. We work in a team. We are not an individual player. Maybe inside the team, your role is individual, but the output will be a collective process of all your teammates, right? So your emotionally intelligent attitude is much more important for maintaining a harmonious relationship with your teammates. Conflict management. They address the disagreements constructively. Conflict, what is that? That might be when we are mingling with the individuals who comes from different background, different language, different culture, different histories, different regions of the world. There might be there conflicts might arise. Conflicts will arise in all the teams, but it is all about how are you managing those conflicts. So such conflict managements can be done in a smooth pace if you are an emotionally intelligent person. Then trust develops when communication is respectful and empathetic. See, everything is getting combined. What we have seen before is combined as you go further, right? In order to build trust among the individuals, whether in your family, in friend circle, or in your team, you need an empathetic attitude so that you won't uh, you won't cheat on them. You don't exploit others. So thereby you gain trust. The trust building ensures the compactness, the strength of your team. So emotionally intelligent people always provides better results in cooperation, conflict management, and trust building. Next, achieving all these things. Now, what is the relationship between emotional intelligence and leadership? Because an emotionally intelligent people will inspire others. They know how to manage their own stress and also about managing others' stress. And thereby they'll become a supporting employees. Emotionally intelligent leaders always motivate and encourage the team members, thereby inspiring everyone around them. Next, those emotionally intelligent leaders, they will remain calm during the challenges. That achieving a sense of calmness, a calm and a constructive way of thinking is much more it gains much more importance in managing the stress. Next, understanding the employee's emotional needs improves the workplace satisfaction. That workplace satisfaction decides the productivity of your work. If you are satisfied with your work, if you need to be satisfied with your work. How come you can gain the satisfaction in your work? You need to develop a sense of empathy the with your teammates so that you can understand if there is any conflict, you can sit along with them, you can discuss it, come to a solution, apply it, and you can resolve it. Thereby, you will be figured as a supporting employee. Next, there are so many. How do we? There are so many things in developing emotional intelligence. There are two main factors. There are so many things, but there are two main factors in developing your emotional intelligence. What are they? Self-reflection and seeking feedback. So you need to learn, you need to be aware about yourself, and then you need to be aware about your surroundings, then manage the conflicts, find solutions, apply it, resolve it. Thereby, you are reflecting each and everybody in your society, and gaining frequent feedbacks will help you in maintaining this emotional intelligence. More than all these things, the conflict resolution, this gains a much more importance in achieving a better emotional intelligence. Conflicts often arise because individuals see situations differently. This is why empathy is much more needed. Next, finding a common ground. You'll sit along. I told you, right? You sit along with them, you discuss, and then you will find a solution to apply and resolve. So, emotionally intelligent communicators or leaders focus on solutions rather than blaming your teammates. What does blame is going to give you? They're going to give you nothing rather than a negative impression on somebody else. So, what is the use of blaming rather than rectifying it? So, emotionally intelligent people always focus on finding solutions and managing it, applying it rather than blaming others. Next, how come emotional intelligence is much more useful by self-reflecting? You can develop it by self-reflection and sending feedbacks. That is fine. But how come emotional intelligence is useful for engineering graduates? Because you will be indulging yourself in team projects. Engineering projects require collaboration among people with diverse expertise, because an artist, compare an engineer with an artist. I'm not suppressing an artist, but an artist is an individual person. He can collaborate or he cannot, he can stay without collaborating with anybody else. There are many options like that. But for an engineer, particularly for an engineer, you need to collaborate with the people who are provided with diverse expertise, who are provided with diverse cultural and emotional and historical backgrounds. So you need to attain a proper sense of emotional intelligence so that you can be a better team player, you can be a better leader, you can be a better human. Next, client communication, like team projects. First is team project. Second is client communication. Engineers must explain technical concepts clearly and respectfully in a constructive way. There are so many technologies, there are so many technical interventions there when you speak about your work or anything else which is related to your work. There are so many technical terms and there are so many technical concepts. You need a very fine, refined, constructive language to express and to explain all those concepts. It should be clear and apt. Next, team projects, client communication, and finally, the professional growth. Employers increasingly value the emotionally intelligent people because of their clarity in their technical skills. The clarity in your technical skills is combined when it is combined with your emotional intelligence, then your value is equally rising. They are like parallel forces. So focus on your technical skills as much as focus on your emotional intelligence skills as much as you focus on your technical skills. Next, what are all the challenges? What are all the challenges we might face in achieving those emotional intelligence? Stress. First and foremost factor is the stress. Stress can reduce emotional awareness and communication effectiveness. Next, lack of empathy. Failure to understand others often damages your relationship. There is no point in living in the society if you fail to understand others. So, lack of empathy is a very big challenge in achieving emotional intelligence. Poor listening habits, interrupting and ignoring feedback hinder the communication. It will never allow the communication to flow in a proper way. So please try to provide a proper listening, proper attention when you listen to someone. Next, how do you develop an emotional intelligence? As we see through self reflection and seeking feedback, regular reflection helps individuals to understand your pattern so that everybody can get along with everyone in a very peaceful manner. Next, seeking feedbacks. Feedback provides insights to communication strengths and weaknesses. It provides insights about your weakness and as well as your strength so that you can work on yourself, you can work on your team, you can work on others, and you can develop a better surrounding through your constructive feedbacks. Finally, what are the takeaways of developing the emotional intelligence and developing a better communication skill? It is that emotional intelligence is essential for effective communication, self awareness, and empathy improves your relationship. Strong interpersonal communication enhances teamwork and leadership. Emotional intelligence can be developed through practice. So, to put in a nutshell, you can be a good leader if you are an emotionally intelligent person. You can be an inspirational person if you are good in your emotional intelligence. More than everything, you can stay and live and go as far as you can as a very good human being if you possess a good sense of emotional intelligence. Thank you.